And so for me, one of the challenges that I had, I couldn't overcome. I can't change that I'm 28 years old, and I can't change that I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And so I had to earn their respect.
Yeah.
And so it took me working harder. Hello, and welcome to our podcast. My name is Rebecca Call, and I'm head of process software consulting and system integration management here at TGW. And today I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Alessandra Caminati and Meagan Gauthier. Ale is our head of solution design, and Meagan is a business development manager here at TGW North America. And as you probably noticed, all three of us are women, and that's intentional. So today we're going to talk about the role of women in the supply chain industry. Before we dive into some of the questions that I have planned for you both, it would be great if each of us shared a little of our business background. So Ale, do you want to introduce yourself and talk about your background?
Yes. So I'm Alessandra Caminati. I'm originally from Peru. That's the reason of my accent. My whole journey started in Austria back in 2013. So I have been with TGW for 12 years already. I started in the development area. And then in 2018, I moved over here to the US and I started working in sales. One of my biggest achievements happened in 2021 when I got this position as the head of solutions design. So I started all this management journey that I really love. And another achievement that I have lately had, it was actually this year. So I was invited to a school to talk to 70 girls. Their ages were around 10 to 12 years old. And they asked me to talk about one value that has been present through all my life. So the value that I chose was hard work. And the most rewarding thing was that at the end of all these conference, one little girl came to me. She's probably 11 years old. And she said, "You inspire me. Now I will work hard and I will become an engineer." So to me, that was like, wow, amazing. So I got very excited. And that's why I consider that as an achievement.
Thank you, Ale. Meagan, do you want to share a little bit?
Yes. So as a business development manager here at TGW, I'm responsible for building strategic relationships and partnerships with 3PLs and consultants, and of course, delivering our warehouse automation solutions. Prior to this role, I worked in a number of different manufacturing industries as a mechanical engineer, working on a number of projects from cradle to grave. Also, I dabbled a little bit in entrepreneurship and started my own e-commerce brand. And honestly, with all my experiences, it's made me a little obsessed with personal and professional development. And I have a passion for leadership, growth, and really empowering others, which leads me to one of my greatest achievements, essentially, has been mentoring some of the female engineering students at my university, Southern University. One of the other best achievements, especially in my career, has been transitioning and pivoting from engineering to this sales role. I've been able to really use my technical background and learn sales and business along the way, and really just do what I do best, which is building relationships. And that's me.
So my professional background has been a little eclectic. So I literally grew up in supply chain. My dad designed systems from before when I was born.
Yeah, amazing.
And so I grew up, Disneyland was a sight. We got to ride around. This was before OSHA is what OSHA is. Yeah. But we got to ride around facilities in totes and see kind of how the systems work together. So professionally, I always had this natural curiosity because of what my dad did. I started out, like you, Meagan, entrepreneurship. I owned my own business for a number of years, first as a retail store with web presence way back in the early 2000s, and found that I liked the technology a whole lot more than I liked the business. And so flipped to development, and development then naturally led into something more. And so now I went back to the roots of supply chain, and I've designed the software solutions for different automation projects for the last 12 years.
That's amazing, Rebecca.
Yes.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's still Disneyland.
Yeah, I love that.
So a couple of my professional achievements in the number of years that I've been in the supply chain industry, I've gotten to mentor different people.
Mm.
And I see my greatest achievements in their achievements. And so watching them perform training for an incredibly complex automation solution, but make it simple.
Yeah.
And make it so that the site just runs. And the customer just knows how to run that facility. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was on site at a different customer that's in the sales phase right now. That's an achievement that's not my own, but I share in the celebration.
Mm.
And we're doing an expansion. And to me, part of the achievement is taking incredibly complex software solutions and making it so that they just run pretty much on autopilot.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly rewarding to me.
Love that.
So as you were both sharing some of your experiences, I wondered if you could share a little bit about some of the challenges that you see or that you've experienced as a woman in the supply chain industry. So Meagan, do you want to go first? Some of the challenges that you've experienced?
Yes, off the top of my head, one challenge that I remember is when I was an engineer, I would attend team meetings, and 10 times out of 10, I was always the only woman in the room. And unfortunately, it was always assumed that I was the note taker and not there for my technical contributions. And so ultimately, what that led me to really learn is that I can no longer ask for things. I have to be more demanding. And I essentially was able to show up to other meetings and let them know that, hey, I'm taking notes for myself. You can take notes for yourself, but I'm not taking notes for the group. And so in previous conversations I've had with Ale even and other women, that's a common thing where we are just assumed to not have the technical aptitude in meetings and that we're supposed to just assume like in a more admin role. And so that was one challenge. And then another challenge I faced was I would give an answer and then a male colleague would give an answer immediately after me. And for whatever reason, his answer would be immediately acknowledged, whereas mine was not. Now, I don't know why that happened, but I essentially, as I mentioned before, had to just speak up and be more assertive and confident in my answers and, just speak with confidence and let the room know, like, this is the answer. This is what I know to be true, and, leave it at that. So,
but I really like what you did. I mean, how you pivoted.
Yeah.
Because probably like many people will say, okay, they don't hear me, then I will just shut up and will not speak anymore.
Right.
But in your case, you decided the other.
Absolutely.
Like, you took the other path, let's say, and you said, okay, I will not shut up.
Yeah, no.
I will be more assertive so that they hear me.
Yes.
And I really like that.
Yes, thank you.
But that leads to another challenge.
Mm-hmm.
How have you experienced the being known for the very loud person when you're pivoting from not being acknowledged to being perceived as, oh, well, that person always talks. That person always has an opinion. Have you experienced that at all?
Well, in a different light. Sometimes if I give an answer or response and I'm passionate, because I'm passionate and I love to just give the best at everything that I do. And sometimes that can come off as emotional, or if I'm in a more assertive state, it can come off as me being angry. Like it's assumed that I'm upset or like there's something going on with me emotionally. And so with that, I mean, that's their assumption if they think I'm more emotional, but that has nothing to do with me. As long as I state whatever it is I need to state, whether it's a technical answer, whether I'm giving advice or supportive or being supportive, I just speak as confidently as possible. And whatever they think of me honestly has nothing to do with me. And that's kind of how I handle that.
Thanks, Meagan. So Ali, from your perspective in the corporate world, what do you see as some challenges that women face?
To be honest, like whenever someone asks me this question, the first moment I have a specific moment in my mind that I always remember. And it was early in my career. I was already like 3 years working in this industry. And I was already providing these very basic trainings. It was like a very long training of 8 hours, I know. But anyway, so I was already giving this training. So I had these men who stood up and told me, I don't understand why you are giving me training. This is a waste of time for me. And I was very young. So I only said, well, if this is a waste of time for you, please leave. And then he said, no, I will stay. And he was repeating this very often. So at some point I was like upset and I said, please leave. He came and he hugged me. He literally came and hugged me. And I'm like, I was shocked because to me that was very unrespectful. So, and I said, what happened here? And he's like, I don't want that you take this personal. And I'm like, I'm not taking this personal. You are saying that it's a waste of time for you. So please leave. And he left. So afterwards I was thinking, okay, this is for sure because I'm a woman. If I will be a man, for sure this guy he wouldn't come and hug me. So yeah, that was to me like a crazy moment. And also because I was very young. Probably right now I will like say something different, but in that moment I was completely in shock.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny, as you were saying that, I've served on a lot of boards and commissions. And my very first commission that I served on was like the good old boys club. Everyone in the room was over 65, 70 years old. They'd been doing this for 10 years. And in I walk, and I was probably 28 at the time. And so very different. And immediately it was the note taker or the, okay, inexperienced, her opinion doesn't matter. And so for me, one of the challenges that I had, I couldn't overcome. I can't change that I'm 28 years old and I can't change that I'm a woman. And so I had to earn their respect. And so it took me working harder. Everybody else in the room would show up unprepared. They just expected, okay, well, I'll learn what I need to learn in the meeting. I'll state my opinion and I'll go my merry way. And that first meeting, I think I studied for 40 hours before that meeting.
I love that.
To make sure that I was prepared because I needed to earn their respect. I didn't automatically get it walking in the door. And I think a lot of women experience the same thing. So Meagan, what about you? What are some of those stereotypes that you've had to overcome in the corporate world? And how did you do that?
Some of the stereotypes, or one of the stereotypes that I've essentially experienced was assuming that I did not have the knowledge to contribute to a particular project. As I mentioned before, I worked in a number of different manufacturing industries, cradle to grave, meaning from the time a project came in where it was just an idea and concept, working all the way through design, all the different iterations and changes before it became an actual project, all the way through to engineering site support. At that time, I was responsible for specifying all of the specifications all the way down to the nut and bolt with the set equipment that the company that I worked for manufactured. And so I had to go on site one time and I'm the only woman, literally the only woman on site. There's a bunch of project managers and installation teams and crews running around. And we essentially had an issue and they assumed that I was not the person in charge to come and tell them what needed to be fixed. And so I essentially was able to firstly remain calm under pressure. I think that they thought that I was going to like freak out, like, oh my God, she's the one in charge. Can she do this? So I was able to essentially remain calm under pressure, get everybody in the room and first identify what the issue was, ask questions to the room to make sure we were all on the same page and aligned. And by then I earned their respect because they were like, okay, wait, she knows what she's talking about.
That's great.
And I was able to pull up the drawings that I worked on myself, point out where the issue was, and then they were able to fix it right there on site and get it back up and running. So the stereotype there was, does she know what she's doing and she's in charge? Like, there's no way she's leading this. And so, I mean, yeah, that was my experience.
So that's funny. I had an experience maybe 5 years ago or so. And I was a developer early in my career. I haven't developed anything in a long time. If you don't count SQL queries, but I had a developer who had a question and I was the conduit to the customer. And so we asked the question and he said, Rebecca, I need to know this, that, or this. And I sat down and I said, well, this is the way it needs to work. This is what the customer's expecting. So what I would expect to see is, and afterwards, this developer came up to me and he said, I expected you to be able to answer what the customer demands were. I had no idea that you would know anything about the code. And it's just that stereotype.
Yeah, like you didn't know.
Because I don't have that role anymore doesn't mean that automatically that stuff flies out of my head.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the stereotype is, they'll know the surface level, but not those details.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like your experience.
Exactly.
Ali, what about you? What are some of the stereotypes that you've encountered and how did you overcome them?
I have another great example
Yeah.
that also happened early in my career. So probably it was like 6 months after I started. And I had to come up with a formula for something, for a design.
Mm-hmm.
So I came up with a formula and then I had this meeting where I had to present it. And one of the comments of one of the people there of the audience was, "Oh, you know math."
Oh.
And to
Wow.
me that was like shocking, surprising. And because, so to be honest, I'm an industrial engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And during my engineering degree, I graduated with the highest score in my class.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I was also the first woman that in the whole history of engineering in my college achieved that.
Yeah. Wow.
So I was like proud of that.
Yeah.
And to hear that comment to me was like kind of insulting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it was again a stereotype. And I'm like, come on. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm a woman, because of my age. I don't know why. But I love numbers. I love math. I have been like that my whole life. I always say my brain is not for languages. Yes. my brain is for numbers. So actually I struggle a lot with languages, but with numbers, I love it. It's just, I'm passionate about it. So to hear that comment to me was like big.
Yeah. What?
So that's funny. I noticed you're both high achievers. I was the same. So my GPA, my undergrad degree was 3.996, and that A- in a Linux class, I swear I deserved an A. But those challenges we all face as women. Yes. But maybe you face some additional challenges. Have you seen different things as women of color, especially in this industry? Additional challenges that you've faced? Ali, what about you?
So it's always difficult to identify if a different treatment is because or is due to your age, race, religion, gender, whatever. So it's very difficult to identify that. But I could share an additional challenge that I had. It was also I was also younger when I met this man who told me, "You are not a natural leader. You will never become a manager." Mm. And so, do you know what? So definitely these are defining moments because either you believe on it or you believe in yourself and you say, let's prove this man that he's wrong. Mm-hmm. So, and I know it's difficult. I mean, you have no idea how many times I have been in front of the mirror and repeat to myself, you know yourself, you know what you want to achieve, and let's work hard to achieve it. So many times. Yes. but yeah, that happened. And thankfully I proved that I can manage. So
proved him wrong.
Yes.
Look at you now.
Meagan, what about you?
Yes. So as a woman of color, I have to answer this a little differently. A challenge that I see is honestly representation, which is why I'm very happy to be doing this podcast and grateful that TGW gives us platforms to be able to speak on our personal experiences. So as a woman of color, we really lack representation and visibility. And so a lot of times at the conferences I attend in my almost decade-long career, I'm usually only African-American. And sometimes that can be and feel very isolating. And, naturally, we tend to gravitate towards things that we can relate to. And so that lack of representation and visibility, Ali and I were speaking yesterday, is definitely changing. We're in different times. Yes. And I feel like that is definitely an evolution that is changing, as I mentioned. Along with representation and visibility, there's also this feeling like I remember I went to therapy for this, where I had this limiting belief where I thought I had to work twice as hard to get half as much. And that is just simply not true. I deserve to be here. I deserve to be at the table. I deserve to be in the engineering meetings. I deserve to be on the sales calls. I deserve to be wherever I add value, because I intentionally, all women, we add value wherever we are. And so, yes, those stereotypes, or just other challenges as a woman of color, as I mentioned, just kind of lack of representation and visibility, and then just feeling like we have to prove ourselves, like outside of other counterparts more, have just been some other like nuances. It's like, why is my answer not valid? Why do I have to repeat myself? Why aren't there more people that look like me is the real question, which will probably be a whole different podcast. But yeah, just lack of representation and visibility but I'm happy to see that that's changing.
So
Yeah,
I think it's funny. My very first supply chain Modex or ProMat or some trade show, it was hilarious to me that there was a line for the men's room and there was not a line for the women's room.
Yeah. You know what? It's usually
First
not
time
like
in
that.
history, right?
First time in history.
It's usually
Yes.
not like that.
And why in today's day and age? And yes, it's getting better.
Yeah.
But I think there's still opportunity.
Yes.
And you mentioned about the student and that, I mean, that's rewarding to see someone who actually thought that they had a seat at the table,
Yes.
but that changed because of something that you said.
Yeah, that's very rewarding. And the best thing is that this school was very diverse. So there were like a lot of children, girls that are from Asia, from South America, color girls. And actually the little girl that came to me to say that was a little color girl. I mean, super cute. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I was so excited to hear that. It was only one girl, but to me that was like amazing and enough. I mean, yeah that was very satisfying, I would say.
So before we wrap things up, I'm curious, as we've talked through some of these challenges, as we've talked through some of the successes that each one of you has had, a lot of that took advocacy, that self-advocacy to make sure that you had a seat at the table, to make sure that when you provided a response, when you provided a solution to a problem, because face it, women are natural problem solvers.
Yes.
Even for little kids, they train them. Hey, if it's an emergency, if you're lost, who do you find? You don't find a man, you find a woman. Because they'll know what to do.
Yes.
And they won't, freak out like you said, Meagan, and I don't know what to do. There's a problem. It's not what women do. Women are natural problem solvers.
Right.
But how have you problem solved that? How have you advocated for yourselves to make sure that your contributions are acknowledged? So Meagan, what about you?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I was not always a self-advocating, confident woman. When I started off in my career, as I mentioned, I'm the only woman on these engineering department calls of 200 people, or maybe one of two, right? And so I didn't really have any women to go to at that time. So a lot of it was just self-work, but also just experiencing things over and over to the point where I got tired of not being able to speak up for myself. And I got tired of people not listening to me. And I got tired of being ignored. And so I literally had to just go within and develop my level of awareness to say, okay, what is it that I'm either lacking, or what skill can I get better in so that people believe me, so that I believe myself? And so honestly, in problem solving, I essentially just said, okay, I need to figure out what is lacking in me. And as Ale mentioned earlier, I started doing affirmations. Like, affirmations are powerful. The way you think and the way that you talk to yourself matters. And I think a lot of, even, of course, we're in a social media world, so we're being fed lies that we have to think a certain way or be a certain way, when really all you have to be is yourself. And so I learned from just honestly being authentically myself how to show up. And honestly, one of my favorite philosophies is authenticity gets you further faster. So I essentially just showed up as myself and gained that confidence over time and was able to essentially start also empowering others to do the same. Because you shouldn't work somewhere where you don't feel like you can be yourself. You shouldn't stay too long if you feel like you have to mask or shrink yourself. And so over time, as I mentioned, I was just able to gain that confidence and really believe in myself and show up for myself and be my best self. So
I love
thanks,
it.
Meagan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting that we have to kind of explain that to ourselves.
Yeah.
That's not natural because we feel like we do need to work harder.
Yeah.
That we need to go faster. Like my experience on that board where it was, hey, I'm going to put 40 hours into this dumb thing before I show up rather than just show up.
Yeah.
But there are ways that we can help others along the way. And so, Ali, what are some practical, tangible ways that you have experienced in having to advocate for yourself? And how would you coach other people? What would you tell other people are some ways for them to practically, tangibly self-advocate?
Definitely. I mean, I will always recommend what Meagan is saying, to know your strength and also acknowledge your achievements. So I always say, write down your achievements and celebrate them.
Yeah.
And keep them in mind. If you cannot remember about your achievements, just write them down and hang it on a wall, whatever. But always remember and acknowledge your achievements. To me, it was always very good to have support. So I'm definitely a person that need people. So, and support to me was the key. So support I'm always surrounded by good people. So like my family, friends. So whenever I had any of these problems, I was calling them and they were there to remind me who I am, what are my achievements, and that I can do it. So to me, support was kind of key. Also, I always repeat that to know the facts, when you know, for example, like well-researched patterns that women tend to do, to me, that's powerful. I mean, to me, that gives you power to change. So, for example, if you know, it's very well known that women normally struggle to negotiate for a higher salary. So then if we know that, let's do it. Let's do the opposite. So, and that's something that whenever I'm with my female friends and we talk about work, I always say that, like, hey, if you're in the middle of, I don't know, changing work or whatever, remember that we always struggle to ask for a higher salary. Just ask for, if you have a number in your mind, go 5-10% higher, just like that. And just try it. Yeah. And if you struggle with negotiation, just start with something small, with a small negotiation, and then little by little, like, make it bigger. Yeah. So that's one thing. For example, another thing that is very well known is that women don't apply, let's say, women apply to promotions only when they meet 100% of the qualifications. And men apply for these kind of promotions when they meet only 60% of the qualifications. So then it's like, okay, if you see a promotion there and you really want that, just apply. Yeah. Just try it. And to be honest, that's funny because that's what happened to me. So when this head of position came into the game, my husband was the one who pushed me to apply. At the beginning, I didn't want. I'm like, I'm not ready for it. And Nori is like, how can you say that? Yeah. You have already proved that you can do it. So just do it. Yeah. And to be honest, like without him, I wouldn't have applied.
So that's funny. I served on city council many years ago. And the reason that I ran for city council is because my husband ran first.
Oh, nice.
Because there was an opening for city council and I see it and I think my husband would be great. And so he throws his hat in the ring. And then I deliver flyers with the kids to all of these doors. And, I'm working probably harder than he was in the campaign because he worked 40 hours and I was home and I worked from home. And so at the end, like during the debates, people were saying, oh, you know what? It would be great if you were on because then we get your wife too.
Oh, wow.
And then he lost the election. And so afterwards, the people who were the mayor and the other city council members were saying, hey, Rebecca, you should run. I never would have done that on my own.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Never. But because of that encouragement, because my husband went first, because he met some of the qualifications, for me, it was, well, what do I have to offer?
Yeah.
And I won, I served, and it was a fantastic time. And that's what opened other doors.
Amazing. Congrats.
It was not natural for me to say, oh, okay, I want to do this. I only meet some of the qualifications.
Yes,
Therefore,
crazy.
let me go.
Yes.
It's interesting to me how women, we sell ourselves short
Yes.
too much of the time.
Yeah.
And we balance. For me, one of the challenges that I've had throughout my career is I'm very passionate. That's just me.
Yeah.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love our industry. Walking into a warehouse and seeing, from a software perspective, when you build an application and you see it execute on a screen, that's cool.
I confirm that.
Yeah.
But when you build an application and you walk inside and you see AMRs going on the ground and you see conveyors going over top and you see all of this orchestration in perfect harmony and the marriage of that physical world with the logical world, to me, that is thrilling. Why wouldn't I be passionate about that? It is pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that passion, like you mentioned earlier, can come off as anger. I'm not angry.
No.
Yeah.
I'm passionate. This is cool. Or I feel like this is the right thing to do. And those challenges for us are sometimes very hard to overcome.
Yes.
It's very hard to advocate and say, I'm not angry right now.
Yeah.
How do I navigate this situation? And for me, a lot of the time is you find good mentors.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
definitely.
you mentioned earlier about the note taker.
Yeah.
I actually had a city council person who said she was the CSO for a company for many years. And she said she would walk into the room and it would be Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, Kathy.
Oh.
And when it was time to, okay, well, Kathy, can you take notes? Because she's the only female in the room. And so she had a canned reply and said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that and pay attention. And whether that was 100% true or not, she found a way to gracefully excuse herself from that stereotypical role.
Yeah.
And her career started 40 years ago. So she was facing a little bit of a different challenge than we are today.
Yes.
You both just mentioned something that I want to highlight,
Yes.
which is very important. It's vital to have the right people in your corner.
Yes.
In my career, I've worked at a number of different companies and I always just naturally seek women. Like I try to find other women, even if they're not in my department. And even working with you two, it's just been very encouraging, like how your husbands are. You guys are very encouraging, very supportive, and we all are of each other. And it's just so important that you have the right people in your corner because they'll push you and challenge you and even sometimes paint a picture for you of yourself that you can't see.
Yes.
And so I'm very happy that you guys have that support and those people, the right people in your corner.
Well, and those advocates aren't always women.
Yeah.
I've met a number of men who essentially will stop a meeting because the right perspective is not in the room. Hey guys, we need a perspective. In fact, I was in a meeting once where we were talking about a customer and the customer was a beauty provider.
Oh.
And the beauty provider had its own brick and mortar stores and was going into a big box. And around the table, it was all men and one woman. And the guys were saying, well, I don't understand. What's the strategy for this? And the woman in the room said, guys, you have to understand, those aren't the same customer. The one woman who can take time out of her schedule, who can park at a beauty store, walk inside, that's a different customer than the person who's in Target with wrangling kids, getting them back into the cart and, hey, I need to grab my beauty products in the big box store. It's a different customer.
Yeah.
That's the strategy. But no man around the table actually understood that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so sometimes always that perspective benefits.
Yes.
You need different perspectives in the room to come to better conclusions, better decisions, better solutions.
Yes.
It's interesting, the world that we live in.
Yes. But finally, we are seeing a transition. Finally, we are seeing more women in power and, let's say, in the field.
Yeah.
And that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's
Especially in
rewarding to be
leadership.
part of those.
Yes.
While we're not the trailblazers, we're certainly not the ones who get to fully benefit from those efforts.
Yes.
So I love that both of you have found not only your tribe, so to speak, to go back and make sure that you have that support, but also that you're offering support to other people, whether it's through schools or through colleagues. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you both for having this conversation with me today and ensuring that we're having these open, natural conversations to address some of the challenges that we face in the supply chain industry and in the corporate world as a whole.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining this episode of our podcast. I certainly hope that you can have conversations like this with your colleagues and make sure that you establish that support system for yourself. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to each one of us on LinkedIn, and we hope to see you on a future podcast.